So,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Driving Perilously, show in which we turn on the radio
Father, thank you that your word
and talk about what it is that's going on. What it is that's going on is they're talking about David, King David, and Absalom, and what a rich story that is. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is I just passed somebody who's, what are those things called? A blower? Landscapers use them all the time, and they take the blower. What is the name for it? And they blow all of the leaves into the street. What is that about? How is blowing all the leaves into the street cleaning up leaves? That's so weird to me. What? Why do we want streets filled with leaves? But I guess the cars get the leaves to go into smaller pieces, don't they? I don't know. What is that about? Does anybody ever ask the landscaper why they do that? Why do we want leaves in the street? And where did the leaves go? Do you remember when people would rake leaves and then put the leaves in piles and burn the leaves, or put the leaves in bags and take the leaves away? Now you just blow them somewhere else? What is up with that? Well, I sound like an old man saying, in my day, we used to do things right, and those kids are spoiled. Well, you have to admit people my age have gone through a lot of changes. We could not imagine taking photograph after photograph after photograph for free. We could not imagine that. Photography was a hobby that was expensive and time consuming, and an art and a science where people went into dark rooms and used chemicals and spent a lot of money on good cameras and lenses and tripods and all kinds of stuff. And the regular everyday person didn't do that. They went to the store and bought film. They took pictures, being careful what they took because it was seen as expensive. I don't really know if it was expensive considering, but the idea was that you took just a few pictures because you had to then take the film back to the store and then wait for them to develop it and then pick it up. So because you had to do 3 trips, buying the film, returning the film, and then picking up the pictures, because you had 3 transportation trips to get this done, the pictures were seen as special. Like you wouldn't take it until you say, okay, everybody, oh, I can't see you, move over. Okay, everybody smile. No, move your, you would like prepare to take the picture. Now you can just take picture after picture after picture, and it's certainly seems absolutely free. We couldn't imagine that when we were little. And we couldn't imagine getting instant answers to facts either. We just couldn't. You had to ask somebody if you wanted an answer, or drive to the library, or look it up in the dictionary or in the encyclopedia. You couldn't just ask a question or type in a question and get the answer. And we couldn't really imagine that either. And we couldn't really imagine before VCRs. So when I was, 10, couldn't imagine watching nearly whatever movie you wanted. Well, I guess we still don't have that. But what I mean is having more than 10 choices, Like, we have so many choices, streaming and so forth. But we had 3 TV channels and sometimes 4. And then, of course, we had more and more. It kept going. But the idea that I can go to Spotify and listen to almost any song that any person has ever recorded was just unimaginable. So people my age really have gone through change after change of things that we just didn't think were possible. Now, we did watch Star Trek, and so we had in our minds the idea that we could all talk to one another, like on a walkie-talkie. People had walkie-talkies. And I also strung up 2 Dixie cups with a string, and you could, the sound would travel along the string, not that great. But, within a very short distance, we had something like a telephone, and we were all used to telephones with cords. But boats had walkie-talkies, or radios. Boats had radios, and trucks had radios. They called them, CBs? Wow, can't even remember the term. It seems so old-fashioned. But, so the technology existed, but people didn't all have a communication device in their hand 24/7. Now when you text somebody, you get the answer immediately. And that means the person's holding it in their hand all the time. So are we now androids if we're holding it in our hands? Not exactly 24/7. It's not exactly implanted, but practically it's close. If you're holding it, it's practically part of you. As much as clothes are, as much as glasses are we now androids? Are we part machine and part person? So we've gone through lots of changes, people my age. So if I go back to when I was 10, Jaws had just been a big deal, and it was still a big deal. And I didn't want to take a bath. So that's how much the pop culture affected my imagination. I didn't want to go in the pool. I mean, I did anyway. Didn't want to go in the ocean. I did less than I used to beforehand. Didn't want to take a bath. Like this huge animal could fit through a water faucet. Just completely denying all physics and reality because of a TV commercial. Just, craziness. But I was, 8 or something. Then Star Wars came out when I was 10. And the things that I was interested in were the Bermuda Triangle, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, avoiding quicksand. And I really thought those things would play a bigger role in my life than they have. But that's just a little window into circa 1977, when things were different. But things are always different. Things are always changing. And if you didn't grow up before these things like phones, including the internet, at your fingertips, you just really can't imagine what it was like beforehand. But that's what's going on in my mind today. And we'll catch you on another episode of Driving Perilously. Take care, everybody.